My name is Sarah, and I'm 32 years old. I work for a developer company that handles everything from real estate sales to management. My family has been landowners for generations, especially during my father's time when he expanded the business as a real estate agent. He was a wealthy man with a wide network of friends, and I was truly proud of him. But fate is cruel. My father was suddenly taken away from us by a sudden illness. No one could accept it, but as his daughter, I had to pull myself together, proceed with the funeral preparations, and ensure we gave him a proper farewell. Just before the funeral service was about to start, I realized I couldn't find my husband anywhere. My husband, who had joined my father's company as the chief accountant, was supposed to be handling the reception of guests along with my sister Rachel and me, but no matter how much I looked, he was nowhere to be found. "Rachel, do you know where Daniel is? Isn't he handling the guests?" I asked, starting to worry. "That's what I thought, but I can't see him anymore," she replied, equally puzzled. There was too much to do, and I couldn't keep track of where Daniel was. Since Dad died, I had noticed many times when Daniel wasn't around. "Really? Hey, why don't you give him a call? The funeral service is about to start," urged my sister. I called Daniel on my smartphone. After a few rings, he answered. "Hello, Daniel. Where are you right now?" I asked, my anxiety growing. "Sorry, Sarah, I can't go back there anymore." "What?" I was shocked. "Yeah, sorry. I spent $100,000 on my mistress," he admitted. "What are you talking about?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I was acting as your dad's agent. I took his account information and used $100,000 of his money," he continued, oblivious to my feelings. Suddenly, my sister turned around with a look of shock. "He quietly took and spent Dad's money. How could he?" she whispered. While I was processing this betrayal, Daniel's voice kept flowing from the phone. "Thanks for everything. I'm going to live with my mistress now. Please fill out the divorce papers at home and send them in. Bye." The call ended abruptly, and I stood there in stunned silence. A staff member approached me, gently reminding me, "The funeral service is about to start. It's the last time to say goodbye to your dad." I took a deep breath, trying to gather myself. I had to focus on saying goodbye to my father. Everything else could wait. I made a firm resolution to honor him. Daniel and I met 5 years ago. Dad was the one who brought us together. It was at an opening event where the organizer introduced Daniel to Dad. Daniel often visited that event with friends, and at that time, Dad was looking for a new accountant. The organizer remembered that Daniel was an accountant, and Dad immediately liked him. He decided to appoint Daniel as the new accountant. I was unsure about trusting someone we had just met, but Dad didn't mind. He was impressed by Daniel's excellent communication skills. Dad wanted us to meet Daniel, so he invited him over for dinner. Dad had raised my sister and me alone since we lost our mom early. He also lost his parents in an accident when he was a student and had lived desperately since then. This quality resonated with Dad. "You're always welcome here," my dad told Daniel. True to his word, Daniel started coming over to our house. At first he came with my father, but eventually he started visiting on his own. "Do you think the accountant is after you?" my sister casually mentioned as we lounged in the living room. "What? No, I don't think so." "Come on, you know it too, right? Do you really think he comes over to our dad's house so often just for work-related stuff?" "Well, I don't know. I know for a fact that Daniel asked you out." "What?" I was surprised. "Hi," she grinned mischievously, realizing she had successfully baited me. Just as she suspected, Daniel and I had exchanged contact information without realizing it. Before I knew it, we were going out together, and soon it became natural for us to be together. For someone as romantically clueless as me, it had become a comfortable situation. My father and sister understood the change in my feelings and watched over us from a comfortable distance without saying anything. Our relationship continued smoothly, and 2 years ago we got married. I continued my job as usual, and my husband became the exclusive accountant for my father's company. In place of my busy father, he often handled financial matters as his proxy. Personally, I was opposed to entrusting money to a stranger, even if he was my husband, and I made that clear to my father. However, my father didn't heed my words and trusted my husband with the proxy duties. My husband, pleased with the responsibilities, did his best. Another concern was my husband's frequent going out. Originally, it was for work-related socializing. My father and husband had met at a bar, so that in itself wasn't a problem. The bar owner was a very nice lady whom I knew well and trusted. However, it was a different story with others. "Did you go drinking again tonight?" I asked. "Yeah, well, the CEO of the company that just signed a contract with your father's company wanted to visit the bar my father-in-law invested in, so I had no choice." "No choice, huh? My dad texted me saying you seem to be having a great time." "What, he was there?" "Of course. He's also an investor and even lends out the place, so he goes there." "Yeah, I guess he would. If my husband was just having fun drinking at the bar, being seen by my father wouldn't matter. But if not—" "Is this girl Megan your new favorite?" I asked. "What? I heard from the owner that every time you go there you talk to Megan and look all cozy. The owner talks too much." "Well, of course. Imagine her position if an investor was getting involved with one of her employees. It's only natural for her to be cautious. It's normal for a guy to have fun with girls. Your father does the same, doesn't he?" "Look, just so you know, my father is a widower. To put it bluntly, it wouldn't be a problem socially, whoever he's involved with. But you're different, right? You're a married man. Do you understand where the responsibility would fall if something were to happen?" From the first impression, I couldn't help but feel my husband was somewhat frivolous. Of course, it's because of his light-heartedness that we are together now. Yet, as time went on, the initial impressions of his flirtiness and assertiveness had begun to give me an uneasy feeling. Probably my father was also aware of this. Even after that, there were occasional calls from my father concerning my husband. "Is Daniel home today?" Dad would ask. "Today he's with a client. What's up? Do you need something?" "No, the owner is worried about you. She's concerned you might be getting hurt about that girl. She's young and carefree. I suppose she means no harm, but the issue is Daniel is a married man. Just the thought of what could happen worries me." We talked about that recently. It's normal for men to play around with girls, they said. "I see. I'll talk to him a bit myself." "Sorry, Sarah. There's no need for my father to apologize. It's my husband who's being too oblivious as a married man. Soon after, my father talked to my husband, and it seems he stopped going to the bar. I was relieved to hear that, but then my sister told me something shocking about that girl Megan. It seems she's quitting the bar to go independent." "What?" I exclaimed. "I went to that bar with Dad the other day after Daniel stopped going. Megan quit soon after." "I heard her telling another girl at the bar," my sister said. "Really? She's still young, isn't she?" "I think she's 25. Seems like she found a sponsor." "It's not Daniel, is it?" "What? You mean you guys don't know each other's salaries?" "Well, yeah, I don't mind, but Daniel doesn't like it. You do work for a major developer and make a decent salary. Maybe he doesn't want to be compared. It's not that much, but still there are some things about Daniel's actions that are concerning." "Like what?" "Dad entrusted him with managing the company's money, right?" "Yeah. There's something that I've been worried about." "What do you mean?" "The story I heard from my sister was unthinkable, even as a hypothetical. If it were true, we had no choice but to carefully verify it. Shortly after our father suddenly fell ill and had to be hospitalized, my sister and I had hectic days managing his care and the company. 3 weeks later, the father we had been talking to just the day before passed away quietly. A week after the funeral, the mourning period ended, and my sister and I returned to everyday life. During that time, there was no contact from Daniel. Our father, being a wealthy man, had properly left a will under a lawyer's guidance. My sister and I, along with the lawyer, proceeded to discuss the estate and the company. While we were talking about this in the living room at home, my smartphone suddenly rang. Glancing at the screen, I saw my ex-husband Daniel's name displayed. I looked at my sister, turned on the speaker, and answered the call. "Hello?" "Hey, why can't I withdraw the money? You must have done something," he yelled. I had never heard him like this before. "What do you mean you can't withdraw the money? It's your father's bank account. Why can't I withdraw all of a sudden? I'm the agent." "Yeah, right. An agent in name only. You bastard who did whatever you wanted with Dad's and the company's money. Of course, the account would be frozen." "What are you even talking about? Why would it be frozen? I was using it." "Are you really an accountant?" "Even a high school student knows why. Since Dad passed away, of course, his accounts would be frozen. What did you think? His account with his name on it was yours? From the smartphone, I heard a faint curse from my ex-husband. Had he been so caught up with the large sum of money that he missed something crucial? My sister was listening to his voice with a look of utter disbelief. Well, that's good, isn't it? You gotta live a dreamlike life of splurging for a while. By the way, last time you mentioned spending $100,000 on your mistress, but what did you do for Megan? What? Why are you bringing up Megan? I already told you before. Dad heard from the bar owner about you and Megan. After that, Dad talked to you, and it seemed like you stopped going to the bar. But just because you didn't go doesn't mean you weren't still involved, right? I didn't. Come on, it's obvious. Megan quit the bar pretty soon after you stopped going. That's irrelevant. Is it? You probably got tired of Dad hassling you every time you went to the bar. Dad was the one who told me about Megan. It must have been annoying for you, especially after you set aside money for Megan. Was it another $100,000 this time? How much have you spent on her in total? My tone was controlled yet pressing, and my husband fell silent. Unable to hold back any longer, my sister burst out, "You're the worst, betraying Dad and my sister. It's already been discovered that you were embezzling money from the company. That money was going to that woman, wasn't it? She quit the bar not just because Dad was a nuisance, but because his money financed her new venture, right?" What? That's so pathetic. A 35-year-old man using his father-in-law's money to keep a woman, my sister continued scathingly. My ex-husband must have been wondering how much we knew. From the speaker, his shallow breaths became louder, making his emotions palpable. Was the bar set up pretty quickly after she quit? Was it all prepared in advance? Megan had been preparing, and I was just providing the money. So it was all led by her? Poor thing, you didn't even realize you were being used. Do you even know what that money was? It was $200,000 from your inheritance from Dad. Can you believe you dumped it into a woman, reducing your inheritance? So foolish. What inheritance? What are you talking about? It was in Dad's will that the money you took from that account was meant to be your inheritance. What? Dad left a will? It's no wonder my husband was shocked. Normally, a son-in-law wouldn't expect an inheritance. That's probably why he thought he could freely spend the money from the agent account. He never imagined that money would actually be his inheritance. That was the account Dad had entrusted to you, right? For your personal payments and such. That's right. But Dad thought it was suitable to leave it to you as an inheritance, even though normally a son-in-law wouldn't get anything. Dad was really too kind, knowing how foolish you are. Really too kind. Dad was strict with his daughters, but overly indulgent with this man. His indulgence had made Daniel too arrogant. Knowing this, Dad had still forgiven him. Now, without a word of thanks for Dad's will, he only worried about the inheritance. Wait a minute. You mean I was spending an inheritance I didn't even know I had? What? That's the first thing you say? Even though you knew there was a will from Dad? Because it's my money, right? I can't accept this. I was thinking it's his money, so I used most of it. 90%, whatever's missing, should be covered from his other assets. Seriously, what a jerk. Cheating, freely spending other people's money, and now demanding to be compensated for what he spent. He's nothing but selfish. No way. Dad said that the money in that account was to be your inheritance. It doesn't matter how much was there, it's specifically the money in that account. And just so you know, a will is absolute. Dad's will wasn't just a letter, it was properly drafted and executed. It's final. No, it'll work out somehow. What? Even as an accountant, you can't tell if it's possible. Shut up! Being an accountant doesn't matter here. From the speaker, my ex-husband's shouting and complaints continued relentlessly. He had brought this on himself, but it was still unbearable, and there was a more serious issue my ex-husband needed to face. My sister loudly cleared her throat, her voice overshadowing my ex-husband's complaints. Guess what? I just found out that woman is married. Silence fell instantly. A response came immediately. What? Who? You're not talking about Megan, are you? I understand how you feel, but... Well, yeah. Who else but Megan? This was a devastating blow. My ex-husband gasped for breath, speechless. My sister couldn't stop grinning at his reaction while I looked on dispassionately. I skimmed through the documents in front of me. You want to believe it's a lie, don't you? But it's true. She said her lover is an old childhood friend, a true romance, my sister continued. What? You got divorced just to be with her, and now you can't. I'm not sure if she ever really intended to be with you. It's a lie. You're just trying to set me up with such a transparent lie. All of you. Who wants to set you up? Someone like you isn't worth the effort. No, Megan was using you from the start. She approached you because she heard you were the son-in-law of the investor, looking to tap into the funds, and she caught you just like that, all for her man. If you think it's a lie, should I send you the document I have here via text? Our lawyer dug it up, so it includes her name and detailed background. I don't want to see it. His agonized voice was so loud it seemed to shake the speaker. It clenched my heart. So you want to run away now that you know the true face of your real girlfriend? As usual, you turn a blind eye to anything that's not in your favor. Well, that's why you've been stealthily stealing money without a care. It's just your character. You could hear his teeth grinding through the phone. His nature was to push aggressively but back down quickly. Even our divorce was him running away. I almost gagged at the realization of how poor his judgment in people was. But in a way, you are a perfect match. She deceived you, but you deceived our family. What? The same, right? You approached Dad and my sister to get to the money? You married her to secure a more advantageous position for yourself, didn't you? That's not what it was. You targeted me instead of the sharp and logical Rachel because you thought I was easier to deceive, right? His silence was an affirmation. It was clear he married me, but in reality, he married my family for money or power. Whatever my ex-husband desired, I honestly didn't care anymore. He used our family's influence as much as he could, and once the main support of our home was gone, he discarded his nominal wife and fled. My ex-husband and that woman, a match made in heaven. But there was one crucial difference between them. Unfortunately, even if you are well-suited, you can't be together. She will never leave her husband. I don't believe that. She told me she wants to be with me forever. She even said she wants me to handle the finances eventually for the bar. Eventually when? That eventually is never going to come. What? Because she runs that bar with her husband. His scream was so loud we instinctively covered our ears. My sister, undeterred by my ex-husband's shouting, bluntly laid out the truth. You said earlier that you left the business of the bar entirely to the woman, right? I bet she told you she wanted to handle everything on her own without relying on anyone. His sudden silence was telling. She just didn't want you meddling in it. Probably told you to wait until after the bar had its grand opening, right? What does it matter if she did? Unfortunately for you, that bar has been open for over a year now. What? The bar is run mainly by Megan's husband. That's where you were duped into providing the operating funds. Ignorance really is bliss, isn't it? With that, my sister couldn't hold back her laughter. By the way, the bar's name isn't Bar Asl. What? Obviously. It's been open for over a year now. Ail was just a dummy name used in your conversations. You've probably been searching for that name, right? Well, you wouldn't find it. It doesn't exist. My ex-husband was completely silent, seemingly unable to grasp why we knew all this. Are you alone right now? What? So you're yelling at us because you're alone. Where did she go? She's been back at her parents' since the day before yesterday because they were ill. Well, since it's come to this, I'll let you in on something. You'll never return there again. Stop annoying me. What are you talking about? Why haven't you even wondered how we know what we just discussed? Guess you're too obsessed with money to remember that accounts get frozen when people die, Daniel. She's not going to show up in front of you anymore. Why? Why would that be? We spoke to her. Once she realized we knew about the stolen money, she got scared and spilled everything. What? Like you dumped me, she's dumped you too. Sorry for your loss. My smile must have carried through my voice because my ex-husband gasped for air on the other end. So I'll hand over that bank account to you. Use the rest as you like. It's yours anyway. Wait, what am I supposed to do with a frozen account? That's your problem. You took it upon yourself to withdraw and spend the money, so figure it out yourself. What about a lawyer? Why don't you hire one yourself? Why should our lawyer work for someone like you? What? The divorce papers have already been filed. You and I are strangers now. We no longer have anything to do with you. Oh, and by the way, Dad's company is being shut down, so obviously you're no longer needed. Wait, I didn't hear about this. The divorce? You brought the papers yourself, so I filed them right away. Any complaints? No, about the company. It's written in Dad's will. He wanted the company he started for personal reasons to be closed after his death. The main business has been transferred to Rachel, and the lawyers handled it. They won't sue for the return of the stolen money if it's considered your severance. Stolen money? The money you had been funneling to that woman? Oh, I should say the money you thought was going into Bar AL. Shut up. What? Do you still have something to say? Do you even understand your situation? If it were up to us, this would be a police matter. Dad was too lenient, not pursuing theft, not requiring repayment. That would never fly with us. The police? Yeah, what you did amounts to theft, fraud, and embezzlement. You're just like that interpreter for the baseball player everyone's talking about. At those words, my ex-husband frantically clung to the conversation. Wait a minute. What now? Anything but the police. Please, no police. I'm not ready to give up on life yet. What is this man even talking about? He's only in this position because of his own actions. Don't joke with me. Your life was over a long time ago. Who do you think has been keeping you alive? Fueled by deep anger, my sister made my ex-husband gasp. I told him to never contact us again and ended what would be our last call. A year has passed since then. Today, as usual, my sister and I are enjoying a beer outside at our parents' home, looking out over the garden. So delicious. Yeah, she agreed. As we spoke, I took another sip of the bitter liquid. Around this time last year, right after Dad passed away, just thinking about it makes me angry. Yeah, a lot of unbelievable things happened. Exactly. But it wasn't because you married him that it all happened. It started because Dad was targeted, and Dad was just too soft. He really was. He was super strict with us, his daughters, but, thanks to that, we've been able to live respectable lives. Dad raised us alone since we were little, and I'm truly grateful to him. No doubt about it. Since then, we've had no contact with my ex-husband. Of course, we blocked his number, so that's to be expected. He probably couldn't reach out given the facts of what had happened. I assume he managed to sort out Dad's estate account on his own. We settled with that woman by making her pay a lump sum. Just recalling that time still makes me incredibly angry. He was a rotten human being, my sister said. Every word he said was irritating, and I was always ready to snap at him. As expected, our discussions went nowhere. So I informed him early on that our lawyer would be coming, which he probably took to mean arrest. His sudden humble attitude was transparent, and we clearly demanded repayment for the embezzled money along with damages. Megan was particularly rotten, saying it was true love with her husband. It made my mouth feel dirty. No way. Plus, after making others pay, she profited nicely. Seriously, she's not even human. Even now, just thinking about it makes me mad. This is ruining the beer. Let's drop it. No. You're the only one talking and complaining by yourself, I thought to myself, as I took another 2 or 3 sips of my beer. I wonder if Dad has found peace, my sister murmured quietly, voicing both our true feelings. In the end, despite our doubts and concerns, we shared with Dad. Neither of us really thought about changing anything. I even got married right after it was so dark. I can see why, but in the end, Dad was happy just seeing us laugh, even if it was with that awful man. After all, it was Dad who pushed him on me. Maybe Dad had noticed the risk in my husband. By taking him in, Dad acted as a barrier to prevent harm to others. I can't help but feel that, or rather, I'm sure that was the case. Dad was that kind of man. With everything settled, looking back makes many things clear. We need to be like Dad. I don't want to be someone who brings home such a terrible man. While saying this, my sister's expression softened, affirming my words. Dad, you were truly great. Can we be like him? I want to. No, we need to. It's impossible for us to do exactly as Dad did, but I want to be someone who can protect what he cherished.